Professional savagery. It's a requirement, unfortunately. The higher up you get, the more frequently you are going to be expected to stand up for yourself and defend for yourself. At some point along the ladder, people are going to stop defending you. You're going to have to be capable of defending yourself. Sometimes, I'd say 99% of the time, defending yourself is talking about your thought process, explaining the background behind why you did it this way, being intelligent and being able to support your points. But there's that other 1% of the time where somebody is stepping out and attacking you and doing something that's borderline unprofessional, probably more like trollish. You also realize as you get up the ranks as a leader, you must defend your people. You must stand up for those who work for you when one of these fools comes for them. Otherwise, no one that ever works for you will respect you, and your team will be the corporate doormat. You have to have a professional backbone and the ability to be a professional savage. The way you set up to be a professional savage is not what anyone thinks. You do it by being good to people. The nicer you are in that 99% of the time, the better you treat people. And I choose teaching to be one of the characteristics that defines me. And that's how I treat people well. When they ask me a barrage of questions that could be, borderline offensive, borderline. Anytime I could give someone the benefit of the doubt and simply teach them and explain to them in better terms, to become a better teacher, to whatever I have to do to get my point across more effectively, to be a better communicator, whatever it is, I take ownership of it until I have to hit somebody. That is the secret of savagery, is you are a good person 99% of the time, and you let stupid people act a fool. Let them. Because you don't look stupid when you don't engage in stupidity. If you argue with a fool, everyone around you is going to have a hard time figuring out who the idiot is. That is the secret of savagery. Sometimes all you have to do to be a savage is keep asking questions or keep trying to be good to a person. I've had a senior leader after a meeting approach me and say, "You put pearls before swine," meaning I held myself with dignity and poise against people who didn't deserve it, who did not deserve to be treated that well. I went above and beyond. That is power. When you have poise, self-control, and the discipline to continue to stick to your core value of teaching, of helping, of providing value, whichever one of those three you choose. When you stick to those, you look far more powerful than the person that you've allowed to continue to look foolish. That is Savagery 101. But we're going to get to the 400 level before this is over. Every single one of these is focused on a different theme. And so I'm going to give you the theme, and then I'm going to give you some examples of how to execute that theme to be a professional savage. Now, the first thing, and I've already kind of covered this, is always assume the best of people. Because the worst thing you can do is be a savage to somebody with genuine intent. So always assume the best and let them prove you wrong. Be the good person and let them prove you wrong. Because as soon as they do, that's when you close that door on them. Let them talk their way into a box and then break the box. You want to, so professional savagery, it's assault with a deadly innuendo. You want to tell the truth without saying the words outright. You make it so that everyone understands what you just said, but you say it in a very, very professional way. And if you're having a hard time not closing the door on someone, I want you to use mind over matter. You don't mind because they don't matter. Anyone who's making a fool out of themselves is beneath you. When should you never use professional savagery? One-on-one. Never. Let it go. Via email. Never. Never, 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 never. If the person is a subordinate or if they're at a lower level than you are, if you're a director and they're a manager, if you are a principal and they are a mid-level, you will never, ever look good being a professional savage, no matter how much you want to. Just don't do it. You have to realize the reason why we don't do these things one-on-one is because there is an element of theatricality to being a professional savage. And to be theatrical, you need an audience. You want this to be something other people see, because you are not only shutting the door on one person, everyone afterwards is going to think twice about trying to be one of those trolls, or trying to derail your point, or trying to use something cheesy to push you off, confuse you, make you look bad. They will think twice before blaming one of your people, because they know you've got it in you. And so that's what you're doing. Maybe once a year, maybe twice a year tops, you go after somebody, but only that much. The more you do it, the more you're likely to be labeled as someone who's hard to work with, or someone who's abrasive. You also don't want to be a doormat. So use this appropriately, but sparingly, and set it up by being overly nice. So what do you do in a one-on-one situation when someone's being a jerk? You go, sure, okay, yeah, thanks, yep, awesome. And just let them go. Just click, hang up, walk out, end the meeting, just leave them. That's the power move. Is, yeah, no, awesome, click. I heard what you said, I'm going to drop now. Document the conversation. If it's one-on-one and they said something, document it. Write it up, keep it. You may need it for later. If it's something inappropriate, escalate it. That's it. That's all you have to do. Don't respond. There's no point to it. Why? No one's there to see it. So don't respond one-on-one. Don't respond in emails. Make sure you pick the appropriate moment. There's some very easy deflections. I call these deflections instead of savagery, but they are definitely savage. Say stuff like, I'll get back to you. I'll take that back to the team. No, I won't. If they keep bringing something up, say stuff like, so you're still concerned about that. Savagery is so simple sometimes. My favorite, I'll prioritize that appropriately. What I just said was, here's my actual priority. Yours is so far down, no one will ever see it. Good luck. Sometimes just saying nothing is the best response to stupidity. Other times, you want to let somebody else take them out. Set the table for somebody else, and I'll talk about how you set the table a little bit later. But every once in a while, there's an implication for another team. They may be coming after you, they may be doing something else, or asking you to do something else. If there's an implication for another team, just bring it up, and let that other team's senior leader take care of them. Sometimes the best way to be a savage is to point out the person that should be attacking them. Set the table for them. Let them be the linebacker, not you. The less you do this, the more opportunities you give other people to do this, the better. Also remember, trolls have enemies. People who are often trolls have a long list of enemies. Every once in a while, just choose one and let them do it. Set the table for their enemy. Let their enemy knock them down. Why do it yourself if you don't have to? First main theme is called refocusing. That's where you bring their attention back to where it belongs. Sometimes you're trying to make a point. And if you make your point, somebody else doesn't get their budget. Somebody else doesn't get their project greenlit. So sometimes they want to get you off point. They want to waste time in a meeting so that you are unsuccessful in achieving your communications objectives. You have to refocus them. Every once in a while, you need to be a savage about it. When they're kind of coming after you and saying things that just don't make any sense, just say something like, that doesn't seem to fit with the objectives of this meeting or this work item or this project. And you see how I'm giving them an opportunity. If they truly are sincere, they're going to be able to say, well, this is why I think it does. You didn't slam the door too hard on them. You gave them an opening. If they're a troll, they got nothing to say. There's nothing after that. You just slammed the door and that's all you have to do. Some things are even better said like, let me get through my main communication objectives and we can get back to that at the end. No, we're not going to get back to that at the end. If they keep harping on something, is that your highest priority right now? That's the great way of saying mind your business. So what part of what you just said was relevant to what we're discussing right now? When someone makes a speech, does a monologue, has no question, call it out. Say it without saying it. So that seems less like a contribution to this discussion and more like an airing of personal grievances. Can you give me the main action item from that, from anything that you just said, or really anything actionable from that? Because I am having a hard time picking it out. Was that a question? Because it didn't sound like a question. It sounded like a statement. So what part of that was unclear? Can you ask me some specific questions? A lot of times derailing you is about asking you these big, massive questions. And now you're trying to waste your time answering something that's so big, you need a meeting to solve that problem itself. So don't. Just say, hey, you got some specific questions? And if they're genuine, if they just asked an overly broad question, they'll come to you with genuine follow-ups. And that's awesome. But if not, great way to get them to shut up in a meeting. Redirection is the next one. Sometimes they're trying to make you accountable, but there's actually somebody above you talking through you, and you want to make that clear. And so one of the great ways is, are you telling me to override the executive who sponsored this, the executive who's really the one who's telling you what to do? Are you telling me to override their priorities? The answer is almost always no. So and then, the major project that you're prioritized to work on, is that no longer a priority? I'll bet it still is. And then finally, the equivalent in a meeting to, I'll get back to you, or I'll prioritize that appropriately. Would you submit that through the formal process? Even if there isn't a formal process. If they say there is no formal process, just say, I'll get you a document for that. No, you won't. Shh. Very nice way of saying it, but not saying it very nicely. Next thing you do is question authority. You can make sure that person, in some cases, you are saving someone by pointing out that they are doing something that they truly don't have the authority to do. Some people get passionate, and that's fine. Passion's a good thing. But often they overstep. So this is, in some ways, professional savagery, but at the same time, you could actually save somebody from making a huge mistake, which is the wonderful part of some of these, is you're giving people an opportunity to show you who they really are and show everyone else who they really are. Are you authorized to say that? Are you authorized to make that claim? Are you authorized to do that? Great reminder. Maybe you're outside of your bounds. Are you speaking on behalf of someone important who they report to or I report to remind them, I don't report to you? Or maybe you want to clear that with somebody else. Another way to say this is, I did not realize you had the authority to do that. Can you override person above them, person above me? That just a gentle reminder. Can you override them? No? Why are you talking? It could be slamming the door hard, or it could be, I just threw you a lifeline. Maybe you want to walk that back. Have you cleared that with someone important? Basically, what I'm telling them is, I'm not the person who does the prioritization. Nice try. You go clear it with the right person. Who else signed off on that? Because I'll bet you it's nobody. And then finally, the most savage thing I've ever heard when somebody is trying to make their opinion drive prioritization. So is that how we should be making decisions? That closes the door hard. And some of these sound so gentle, but I want you to understand that the person on the other end of the table is taking these badly. These are not nice things to say. Even though they don't sound that bad, that person is going to be seething if they're trying to troll you, because you've just basically pushed it aside. And that's what the last thing that they want. They feel like you made them look like an idiot, when in reality, they made themselves look like an idiot. Next, isolation is such a powerful tool, but it's also a dangerous tool. It's dangerous because if you don't read the room correctly, they may not be isolated. There may be other people in the room who share their concern, who share their thinking, who are on their side in one way, shape, or form. And if you use isolation at the wrong time, you can find out the hard way that they are not alone. You are. And you can isolate yourself. So be very, very careful. And this can feel personal, but don't. You are isolating an individual, but you are isolating them because of what they're saying, what they're asking, the opinion that they're putting forth, the prioritization that they want. You are putting that on an island. Even though you're using the word you are putting their idea on an island. And that is how you must treat them. So if someone is asking questions that you don't think represent anyone else in the room, you slam the door hard. No one else is experiencing the same confusion that you are. Welcome to the island. Population you, who doesn't get this. That seems to be a challenge that's unique to you. Welcome to the island. Your problem doesn't seem to be anybody else's. So the problem you have with what I'm doing or what I'm saying, that kind of seems like a you thing, not an us thing. Does anyone else share that concern? Or are you just floating it? It's that last part. I've made it clear that that's your opinion. Do you have any data to support that claim? Or are you just floating it? You just said an opinion. And I've just said, well, that's just your opinion. But I've said it in a more professional way. And in many cases, that way hurts a whole lot. We're spending a whole lot of time on you, and there are other people involved that I need to be respectful of. Welcome to the island. Before I answer that, is anyone else interested in me diving into this? You see how I've hedged. If I don't understand the room, if I don't have a good read on the room, what I've done is I've started the process of isolation. I've also set the table. Remember what I said, trolls have enemies. It's a list of enemies. I've set the table for someone. And this next one's the same thing. Is anyone else having a hard time following here? Or am I doing a poor job of explaining this? All of those set the table. Number one, I'm asking if I'm doing something wrong. So I'm making this about me. And I'm giving everyone the opportunity. Potentially, if I don't understand the room, I'm giving everyone the chance to say, hey, no, we really don't understand this. And then it's on me and I can fix it. And I'm the good guy. I was asking, am I doing something badly here? I was taking their concern and their criticism seriously. But I've also set the table for one of their enemies. If I know it's a troll, I know as soon as I say that, one or two of their enemies are just going to pipe up. No, you're doing a great job of explaining it. Oh, no, I think that's just a question they have. Doesn't seem like any of us, no, we're not interested in that. No. Why don't you take that offline? You've set the table. You're letting somebody else jump in and take a swing at somebody that they've been dying to take a swing at. Set the table. I can recommend some excellent training or send you some background to fill in your knowledge gaps. Your knowledge gaps. Enjoy the island. The Joe slide. This is use very carefully, but this is very effective. So I will create a slide just for a troll. Somebody who is intentionally obtuse, someone who is always interrupting or just intentionally trying to derail meetings so that I can't get my communication objectives through. I will create a slide for them. I'll say something like, and this is the Joe slide. Joe's not an actual person. I just use a generic name. This is the Joe slide. I understand in every meeting you have some challenges understanding. So I built a slide just for you. This is a brand new communication style I'm trying. Hopefully this one works better for you. For you. Welcome to the island. You even got your own slide on your island. It's a special slide for a special person. You, Joe, you're a special person. If it's a troll, Joe slides will start appearing on other people's presentations. You will set a trend that will make that person stop talking. Stop being a troll because you've made it obvious. Remember, you said something without saying something, and you've set the table for other people who are having the same problem. There will be other Joe slides on other presentations. You just have to do it once, maybe twice tops. Everyone else that's ever had a problem with Joe will have a Joe slide, and it'll take maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and that Joe will be quieter. Joe will stop being a troll because you've just made it really obvious. Accountability is another redirection, and in many cases, somebody is trying to make me or you accountable for something that you aren't. They're trying to make it sound like you made the mistake, like you have to do this thing, like this is something you should have been working on in the first place, like this is something that should have been done, even though it wasn't, even though it's their job. So when it's somebody talking to me and there's a disconnect in an organization that I'm a part of, just say something like, I don't have anything covering that in my performance goals. I've basically said, you're asking me to prioritize. I don't do that. No, that's you two. I have returned to the accountability for prioritizing or reprioritizing me to the people it belongs to, because that's not me. Also, which one of my performance goals covers that? Remember, that's you to prioritize, not me. Push it back to where it belongs. It's not for me to say this is my priority or that's my priority. It's not for me to push back. That's you. That's leadership. Do your job. That's a very nice way of saying, do your job, please. If someone is trying to make their deliverables my deliverables, I will say something like, I thought that fell under your organization's objectives. Your problem, not mine. Also, this seems like a question you are better suited to answering. Don't ask me something you should be answering. That seems like an action item you are better qualified to handle. Don't give me your work. Are you going to be accountable for catastrophic outcome? If I have told you that if this happens, this project gets pushed back, or we are going to do some irreparable damage to... If I've told you that Armageddon is coming, are you going to take responsibility for Armageddon when it does come? Answer is almost always no. And then finally, if they've won the day, if everyone is on their side and you're being dragged into something that you shouldn't be, ask for their resources. This is professional savagery. Say something like, if it's a sales team. So I understand that this is something that has to be fit in. It's last minute. It's kind of fire drill driven development, but that's where we are. Now, I'm going to need 2 or 3 of your people for a day, possibly 2 days, to make sure that we have the specification nailed down. We understand the customer need. We understand exactly what it is that we're building. We'll probably need them for validation as well because we don't have anything formalized for this. I want to make sure that this is one and done. We do this right, and we do it exactly like you need it done. So I'm going to need some of your resources. And you make it hurt those people. If they say, well, we can't have it, it's like, okay, so it's a priority for me, but not for you. You're not willing to put resources into this. Now you're getting them to question themselves. Get it to, because they're going to have to say yes, and then make it hurt those people. Make those people that they've assigned to you do the absolutely most annoying tasks for the entire time that you've asked them to do it. Maybe even make them work some more. Make it so that that person never, ever runs that on you again. Because if they do, it hurts them worse. Sometimes savagery happens behind the scenes. Sometimes the pain is something that you bring quietly. And finally, reframing. A lot of times someone will try to reframe your point, and you'll have to reveal what they're actually doing by changing the context of their statement to reveal their true intent. You have to reframe what they say because they've put a whole bunch of obfuscation and flowery language and they've basically put a very nice wrapper on something that's not so nice. When someone's ranting and they're, blame, that's essentially what they're doing. And so I will pull it back and say, hey, you seem more interested in assigning blame than solving problems. You just say what it is. What did they try to do there? You tried to play the blame game. That's not what we're here for. We're solving problems. I've redirected, I've reframed exactly what it is that they're trying to do. If they try to reframe what you've said to derail you by essentially misstating your points, just restate your points. Don't argue theirs. Reframing, in many cases, is reframing what you say. So just bring it right back. Say what you were saying. They'll misrepresent you again. Bring it back. Say what you were saying. Don't argue their points. Continue to talk about the merits of yours. Continue to use that opportunity to sell what it is that you're selling. Don't fall into that. Just reframe it back to what you're talking about. And in some cases, they will continue to argue minutia. And you just say, let me reframe this, in simplified terms, and then say exactly what you've been saying the whole time. Again, make it obvious and it's the contrast that's really the savagery. When they say something 2 or 3 times that has nothing to do with what you're talking about, and you keep returning to your point, it makes it obvious that what they're saying and what you're saying are 2 different things. They're saying you're saying something that you're not saying. Reframe. Return back to your point. Sometimes just saying the same thing over and over again is savagery because it makes it obvious what they're trying to do. You reveal their true intent. Every once in a while, you need to defend one of your people and get someone who's being inappropriate to just shut up. So how do you do that? When they say something inappropriate, tell me which one of the company's core values that fits under. What made you think that was appropriate? You are basically telling them, shut up. If you said that to a bartender, they'd kick you out for having too much to drink. Shut up. I thought you enjoyed working here because that is not the kind of thing you say and stay employed. Oh, that sounds like a resignation. Did you intend that to be? Those are powerful be quiets. You're going to escalate whatever they've said, and you've made it really clear without saying that this gets escalated and you're probably getting fired over this, especially if you're defending one of your teammates or somebody who's on your team, somebody who you lead. You've made it really clear. This person needs to be quiet. What you just said was inappropriate. You're done. And I'm escalating this with the intent of getting you fired. You've defended your person in every single way that you need to. You don't need to address their points. You don't need to address anything that they've said that's inappropriate. You just need to tell them to be quiet in the most professional way possible. If they persist, if they don't take the hint to be quiet, you just stand up and leave. End the meeting, hang up, leave, cancel the thread, do whatever you have to do. You get your people out of harm's way, or you get yourself out of harm's way. If there is somebody who insists on being completely inappropriate, you cut them off. If they will not stop themselves, if they won't control themselves, you get up and leave. That's the power move. Just say, this is over. We're done. That's it. And you cut it off right there. And you make sure that person has no contact at all. And you escalate immediately. You make sure that that goes somewhere. And you protect your people. And you go to the mat. Because that's how you earn respect. By taking care of your people. By creating a clear culture. Sometimes you need to yell without yelling. I do use one word. Don't yell the entire sentence. Don't yell the entire thing. I like the word now, but you can use a ton of different words. You hit the word and you let everything else be at a very mellow, very even, very regular voice. But you use one word to yell. You say something like, so we need to get this meeting back on track now. Where can we start? One word. It's a one-word yell. And it's powerful. So now we're going to get back on track. One word. If you yell, you're unprofessional. If you yell, you're abrasive. If you hit that one word for emphasis, people jump. Use your voice. And I mean, nail that word. Hit it hard. If you do that effectively, you can get an entire meeting of C-suiters to be quiet. You can get them to return to focus. You can get them to stop arguing with each other. Just one word is powerful because they're not used to that. They are not used to people telling them to get in line without getting out of line themselves. Powerful. One word shouting. And the one I've used in the past to give someone the opportunity to back off of something that could have been taken multiple ways, I'll say, does that represent the values you choose to define you? Many times people don't understand the implications and the connotations of what they've said. And by saying that, I give them an opportunity. You can choose to be better. Or you can choose to do what you do and look like an idiot for the rest of your career. What values do you choose to define yourself by? And then point out the values that everybody else in that meeting or everybody else in the room has chosen, or even just use yourself. The values everyone else has chosen to embody. And then contrast it with the ones they're choosing. That's a powerful one. If you want to be a savage, you call out the person at a character level. That's how you hurt someone. You do this effectively, they don't come back from it. Like, no one respects them again. If you point out how something they've done reflects on their character, on the values they choose to use to define themselves by. That one's powerful. And the final one. This is the one I use more than anything else. To be a savage, silence. Someone says something dumb, something ignorant, somebody asks a question that doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything, doesn't make any sense. Make it awkward. Seriously, just stop. Make it weird. That's the point of silence, is to make it weird. Make them say something. They will. After about 4 or 5 seconds, they will say something. And they will continue to make a fool out of themselves. It will happen. That is the power move of all of them, is silence. Every once in a while, if you know you have a couple of allies in the room, give one of them one of those looks. Or just, huh. Powerful. It is so strong to just let the person sit there. To make them realize you can't goad me. You can't make me angry. I'm not going to respond to that. I don't have to. But you do. You need to explain yourself. It's powerful. It's that level of confidence to just stand in front of a room full of people after someone has done something ignorant and let it hang. That's power. It's confidence. And a lot of professional savagery is delivery with confidence. So that is my end-to-end. That's my whole toolkit. That's how you go after someone without going after someone. That's how you keep your job while still telling somebody, you know what, why don't you take a hike? Because that's really what you're feeling like saying, but the only way you get away with it, very rarely, very sparingly, set up for it by being the nicest person possible. But when somebody walks into that trap, close it on them.